My name is Dylan Flowers. I'm here presenting my oral presentation for English 231 for my final uh, presentation. I want to talk about Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart and kind of the motive behind the story, what it means, and why it still should be taught to students today. Um, Poe had a kind of a dark, twisted mind. If you read even just a few of his stories, um, not only was it dark, but it was romantic also. He expresses his emotions and experiences in his stories, which he could also relate to in his personal life. He suffered a lot, and it definitely showed in his work. In his piece of The Telltale Heart, it was about a madman who was actually a murderer who tried to convince the reader that he was sane. Throughout the piece, he was trying to reassure the reader that he was normal basically, and in the end, he ended up killing the old man. He stayed with the narrator and rented a room to care for the old man, and he even said in paragraph 2 of page 1187 that the old man was blind in one eye. It is described as the eye of a vulture, a pale blue eye with a film over it. And the old man felt that the narrator had a evil eye and was constantly watching him. Um, Over a week, he plays the old man by being nice to him and keeping him from noticing the difference in the narrator. And at night, he would sneak into the old man's room to make sure that I wasn't watching him. But on the 8th night, it was, and the old man had been startled and was watching to see if anyone was going to break into his room. But the person he really should have been watching out was the narrator, and he was completely oblivious to it. Uh, they had the narrator and the old man had some similarities and differences. The two different uh, are basically the narrator is a crazy murderer, and the old man was helpless because he was so old he couldn't help himself, and so the narrator was there to feed and take care of him and the normal duties that a person would have if they were taking care of an older person. They are alike because they're both paranoid and nervous. The old man is paranoid because he feels that the narrator has an evil eye and is constantly watching him, but the narrator is nervous and paranoid because he is about to kill the old man. And so that's how the two are kind of similar. He kind of, it kind of is really interesting to read Poe's stories because even though they're different, they all kind of come back to the same point of like his dark and kind of evil stories that he has, but then he has that also romantic side to it. Uh, the narrator was kind of afraid of the old man's eye because it could see him for kind of who he was and the front that he put on. In reality, it was all in the narrator's head. If he hadn't had built up that thing that the old man was really watching him, the murder and all that would not have ever happened. So in conclusion, I think that these stories should still be taught to college students and students in general because it kind of opens up a new realm of like stories that a lot of people haven't read, and it shows Poe's dark side and his romantic side in the stories that he writes. Um, so anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this presentation of Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart.